Exiting the OBGYN were Jeff, my husband, and an unfamiliar woman. No way. Jeff, you were having an affair? I had witnessed my husband's affair. Moreover, it seemed his mistress was pregnant. In a panic, I approached them to ask what was going on, and she said, "I'm pregnant with your husband's child. Please divorce him quickly." Despite being in front of his real wife, she was utterly unfazed and selfishly asked for a separation. I was dumbfounded by Tracy's audacity. There was no point in staying married to Jeff under these circumstances. "All right," I said, "if that's what Jeff wants, let's do it." Then the two of them looked at each other, held hands, and began to celebrate. "So, we don't have to hide our trips anymore?"
Yay!
Huh? Trips? Actually, we're going on our honeymoon next week. I was going to lie and say I was on a business trip, but there's no need to sneak around anymore. Their forthrightness may have stemmed from my agreement to divorce. They felt free to say anything in my presence, revealing details I hadn't even asked for. Their selfish behavior continued thereafter. I had told Jeff we needed to talk, but he hadn't returned home in days. Were they planning to talk after returning from their trip? I had thought so until one day. Unbelievable. 33 filled-out divorce papers were mailed to me. Among them were photos of my husband and his mistress together, clearly meant to harass me. They clearly wanted a quick divorce, but why send these during their trip? They didn't give us a chance to talk, just sent these papers unilaterally. Rebecca, nice guts. Be prepared. Something snapped inside me. My name is Rebecca. I'm a nurse at a general hospital. I met Jeff 3 years ago at a friend's wedding. Unlike me, who is shy and not good at conversation, Jeff was the life of the party and stood out among the guests, which piqued my interest. After the reception, everyone moved to the venue for the after party, which was informal. I sat at the far end of an island table with Claire, a high school classmate. Then, Jeff sat down next to me. "I hope it's okay, I sat next to you," he said. Despite my introverted panic, he continued to talk to me without hesitation. "Do you have a boyfriend?" "No." "Where do you work?" Oh, right. "How old are you? Are we the same age?" He bombarded me with questions. When Jeff's friend noticed my discomfort, he teased Jeff. "Dude, you're asking too many questions," she's shocked. His friend's comment made Jeff realize he might have scared me. And he blushed, apologizing, "Really sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I was just curious. Man, he's been saying how cute you are since the ceremony. He's a good guy, give him your number." I was egged on by Jeff's friend. At that time, I didn't have a boyfriend or anyone I was interested in. So I agreed to exchange contact information with Jeff. When I agreed, Jeff showed a big smile, highlighting his dimples. "Thank you. I'll definitely contact you." And he did the next day. Jeff invited me out for a meal. Alone, he seemed less boisterous and more hesitant. Do you have any favorite foods?" he mumbled. Jeff was a bit shy, cute with his noticeable dimples. I started to find him adorable. After several dates, our relationship progressed. About 6 months later, Jeff proposed, and we quickly decided to marry. Once married, we moved in together, but I had some concerns. Hey, what about the wedding expenses and the rent? And other costs for living together? I brought it up indirectly, as it was hard to talk about. I work as a nurse and believe my salary is fairly high. However, Jeff works as an office clerk at a manufacturer. My salary and bonuses were significantly higher than his. And I wondered if he might feel uneasy about it. However, Jeff casually said, "Why not go halves? Right now, I earn less and honestly don't have much saved. But I'll try my best not to lose to you, Rebecca." My worries were unfounded, as Jeff seemed more positive than I expected. But I had another concern. You know, I have night shifts. I come home in the middle of the night or in the morning, and my work hours are irregular. Can you help with the household chores? My job as a nurse means irregular hours. Honestly, it's hard to manage without sharing household chores, which was crucial for me. Household chores. We should do them together, right? If you're okay with a guy cooking. I can cook and do the cleaning and laundry without much hassle. Let's work together. This reassurance was similar to our earlier conversation about salary. Jeff had lived alone before, so he was capable of handling chores without feeling burdened. He eased my fears, and we registered our marriage without any issues. Our friends and both families celebrated our new beginning, and we started our life together. Jeff kept his promise to actively do household chores. After a night shift, I'd return home to find pasta wrapped and waiting in the fridge. The cleaning and laundry were well taken care of. On days I cooked, Jeff would eat heartily, asking for seconds. Delicious. Is there more? On weekends, he would take me out on dates. We lived blissfully, just the two of us. All that was left was for us to have a child, for everything to be perfect. However, conceiving turned out to be more difficult than I had anticipated. Honestly, I had naively assumed that getting pregnant would be easy once we were married. It seems many people might think the same. But reality often proves otherwise. Even after a year of marriage, I had not become pregnant. I was 28 at the time, and I had hoped to have a couple of kids by the age of 30. A desire I had shared with Jeff before we married. However, Jeff didn't seem to be in a hurry, saying, "Let's not rush it." Perhaps he was right, as these things can't be forced. But my concern wasn't just about not rushing. Our intimacy had significantly decreased compared to when we were first married. No matter how much one might say it's out of our hands, without intimacy, there can be no children. Initially, we slept together in the same bedroom. But due to my job, I often came home in the middle of the night, frequently waking Jeff up. Eventually, Jeff suggested I wake up with even the slightest noise. Maybe we should sleep in separate bedrooms? This separation likely also played a role in our difficulty in conceiving. I began to feel somewhat depressed about our chances of having children. Still, our relationship wasn't bad, and I enjoyed my time with Jeff. So I tried not to dwell on it too much. However, 2 years into our marriage, I could feel our happiness beginning to crumble. "You're coming home late again today?"
Yeah.
"I have a drinking party tonight." "I see. What time will you be back?" "Not sure. Probably after midnight." "That's late. Haven't the drinking parties been a bit too frequent lately?" Lately, Jeff's returns were very late, and his frequency of drinking parties had increased. He was often away on weekends for entertainment. And I felt disappointed about the lack of time we spent together as a couple. However, my husband dismissed my concerns, saying, "Rebecca, you're a woman, you don't understand the importance of these drinking parties. How much the bosses like me can really make a difference at work. Please don't complain about work-related matters." "I'm sorry. Well, I'm heading out." Seemingly upset by my words, Jeff slammed the front door as he left. The vibration and air pressure from the door closing knocked over a photo frame on the entrance hall table, a picture of us smiling at our wedding. Left alone, I sighed deeply, and slowly set the photo frame upright before heading to work. I understood the importance of workplace relationships. But it wasn't just the late returns, recently. Jeff's attitude towards me had clearly changed, causing me anxiety. Again, he didn't make dinner. Previously, Jeff would prepare meals before his work to ease my burden when I returned from night shifts. But that had stopped. Eventually, I had to prepare meals myself after a short nap. I also had to point out, "Why haven't you done the laundry?" The laundry basket was overflowing, yet it remained untouched. Today was supposed to be Jeff's turn to clean. What's the big deal? I was busy. It is a big deal. The basket is so full. Where am I supposed to put the clothes I wore today? Oh, stop nagging. If you're going to complain, just do it yourself. Jeff lay on the couch, fiddling with his phone and ignoring me. I ended up doing the laundry myself, as he made no move to help. This way, my household chores burden continued to grow. We had agreed to share household responsibilities before marriage and set rules together. But those rules had gradually fallen apart at Jeff's convenience. He had changed. He was always late due to overtime or drinking parties, and on weekends. He would go out alone, unlike before. He used to be so kind, but now even his tone had become harsher. I dreaded to think it, but a horrible thought crossed my mind: infidelity? No, I mustn't accuse my husband without evidence. I sternly dismissed the thought. But as time passed, Jeff continued to change, and I couldn't help but become suspicious. Hey, what is this? A colored lipstick, obviously for women, fell out of the suit Jeff wore to work. Oh. I bought some lip balm because my lips were dry. But it seems I accidentally picked up a colored one, he said, his eyes darting around nervously. Flustered, he quickly retreated to the bedroom. I'm tired, going to sleep. It was suspicious, but if he said it was a mistake, there was not much I could do. I had to back down this time. However, another day brought a new issue. Several thousands of dollars had been transferred from our joint account for living expenses to Jeff's personal account. Jeff, why is money from our living account being transferred to your account? I overspent this month. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Don't use it without asking. We need to save for the future. Another lecture? Sorry, I'll be careful. After saying this, he retreated to his bedroom again. Yet, in the following months, he continued to withdraw money without my consent. Jeff, did you use our house money again? I asked you to stop, didn't I? It doesn't matter. We don't have kids anyway. I almost yelled, that's because you're not interested in having them. But I held back, biting my tongue. It's not just about that. I don't understand why you need to spend $1,000 to $2,000 a month just because we don't have kids. What are you spending it on? Why do I have to explain every penny I spend to you? Jeff snapped back, getting defensive. Even when we're arguing like this, Jeff never puts down his smartphone. He keeps it with him even when going to the bathroom or taking a bath. It's like his wife is not me, but his smartphone. Can't you just put down your phone for once during such times? Look at me and talk. I couldn't help but get emotional too. Enough. You're so annoying. Just let me be. Saying this, he retreated to his room while still looking at his smartphone. He says he wants freedom, but isn't he already doing whatever he wants? Where did the husband I loved go? I haven't seen his dimpled smile, which I loved, in who knows how long. When he's home, he's always irritable. The trace of his kindness has completely vanished. What do I even like about this man anymore? I feel my feelings for Jeff cooling down more and more. I spend my days questioning whether I should divorce him. Then one day, Claire, a friend from nursing school, contacted me. Want to catch up over a meal? It's been a while. Yes. I'd love to. It's been so long, hasn't it? Where should we meet? At your place like usual, or my house? Actually, it'd be better near my workplace this time. Sorry, but could you come here? And how about around 3 p.m.? Claire, though she works in a different hospital, is a nurse like me. She suggested meeting at a cafe near the OBGYN where she works. Usually, when Claire and I meet, we just hang out at one of our homes and have a leisurely meal, but this time was different. Though it struck me as odd to meet at 3 p.m., neither lunch nor dinner time. I didn't dwell on it much since I was looking forward to seeing Claire. On the day I was supposed to meet Claire, I arrived at the designated cafe to find her looking unusually somber. Is something wrong? I asked Claire, sensing her serious mood. After a moment of silence, she spoke heavily. Don't ask anything, just look outside the window for a while. Outside the window, I could clearly see the OBGYN where Claire works. I vaguely understood what she meant, and we both stared out the window in silence for a while. Then, the moment came. As I watched, I saw Jeff, my husband, wrapping his arm around an unfamiliar woman's waist and entering the OBGYN together. The woman next to him appeared to have a slightly swollen belly. I see.
Yeah.
I kind of had a feeling something was going on. My eyes began to well up with tears, and my grip tightened on my coffee cup. Claire, it's such a nice day today, isn't it? Really warm, and the temperature is just perfect. As I said this, tears started rolling down my cheeks. Rebecca. Claire held my hand. She probably didn't want to know either that a friend's husband was having an affair. Claire had been at the wedding where my husband and I met and was right there when Jeff first talked to me. So she knew his face and name well. She had seen him come to the OBGYN with another woman and had contacted me. I'm going to head back now. As much as you're my friend, I can't just disclose patient information carelessly. I'm sorry, I can't do more. You should talk to Jeff. Claire, thank you so much. I'll talk to him. No worries. Call me if you need anything, okay? I'm always on your side. And don't let him see you crying. Wipe your tears before you go. Saying this, Claire wiped my tears with her handkerchief. She had always been like an older sister to me. I thanked her again and waited outside the OBGYN for them to come out. After a while, when they appeared, I hurried over to them. Jeff, congratulations on her pregnancy. You two look great together, I said, forcing a smile. The two of them looked shocked and turned to each other. Jeff, is this your wife? She didn't seem to know who I was and asked Jeff, who turned pale. Wah, what are you? Despite usually only looking at his smartphone, now he was staring at me with wide eyes. What's the matter? Weren't you at work today? I smiled sweetly and asked my husband, who stuttered, trying to think of an excuse. Then he blurted out, no, you see, she's just a friend's girlfriend. And I came with her as a companion. What a transparent lie. Faced with such a strained excuse, I couldn't help but sigh loudly. But Tracy snapped, annoyed by Jeff's attempt to casually handle the situation. Jeff, you said we were going to divorce, didn't you? Well, yes, but I haven't really talked about it yet. Oh? You said you were going to divorce? That's news to me. Jeff, you haven't said anything? Caught between his wife and his mistress, Jeff was at a loss for words. Let's not do this here. How about we move somewhere else? I led them back to the cafe where I had been with Claire. We each ordered a cup of coffee and took a moment to calm down. During this time, Jeff looked down, refusing to meet my gaze. Today, it seems Jeff regards the desk, not his smartphone, as his wife. However, Tracy is directly looking into my eyes. My name is Tracy. I'm in a relationship with Jeff, and as you just saw, I am pregnant with his child. Please divorce him immediately. In front of his actual wife, without flinching, the mistress asked for a divorce, leaving me so stunned that I stopped mid-motion while trying to take a sip of my drink. Tracy's eyes were intensely serious. It was as if she considered me the final boss, fully ready for battle. To not be overwhelmed by Tracy, I clenched my fists under the table, maintaining my composure, and asked, "How long have you and Jeff been involved?" "Since a year ago." A year ago. That's when Jeff's sudden increase in overtime started. It was also around that time that he began to grow cold towards me. He became distant because of her. The lipstick in his pocket, the withdrawals from our joint account, all because of Tracy. Now that I think about it, it all adds up too well. The dots were connecting in my mind. So it's been a year. And what does Jeff want? Upon hearing this, Tracy glared sharply at Jeff. Startled by her gaze, Jeff flinched. It seemed he was pretty much under Tracy's thumb. Despite his usually arrogant demeanor at home, frustration welled up inside me. Well, if it's out, then there's no choice. Let's get a divorce. It's unfortunate, but what can we do? There's a baby on the way. Exactly. For the baby's sake, please divorce us right away. Both my husband and his mistress, perhaps emboldened, began pressing me for a divorce. My feelings for Jeff had indeed been cooling. But why should I let them dictate the timing of our divorce? You too. As I tried to speak, Tracy cut in, "Since I've entered a stable period of my pregnancy. We plan to go on a honeymoon next week, before the baby arrives." Hey, don't say that. A honeymoon? They planned this even before we divorced. Truly unbelievable. Everything's out in the open now, isn't it? Well, that's true. Rebecca, that's what's happening. We're going on a honeymoon next week. I was going to lie and say I was on a business trip. Their statements were so absurd that I almost lost track of what they were saying. Was my husband always this foolish? Feeling somewhat detached now, I said, "Sure, go ahead." Upon hearing this, they looked at each other and burst into smiles, beginning to hold hands. Really? That's great, Tracy. We're free now. Can I stop hiding it? Can I post lots of pictures with Jeff on social media? Well, hold on, social media's tricky. You never know who's watching. It wouldn't be great if people found out I got someone else pregnant right after the divorce. You want to hide our relationship? That's awful. Sorry. I didn't mean to make you mad. Somehow, they started a lover's quarrel right in front of me. What was I even witnessing? Well, I'm going. Jeff, let's sort out the necessary procedures later. I said this and left the cafe, leaving them behind. Tracy really seems like a handful. I thought, almost as if it were someone else's problem. As I headed home, no longer caring about any of it. That night, Jeff didn't return home. Not just that night, but a week passed without him returning. Despite his demands for a divorce, we couldn't even talk about it if he didn't come home. As I pondered this, looking at the calendar, I remembered they had gone on their trip starting yesterday. Maybe he plans to talk about the divorce after they return, I reasoned. However, that day, a thick envelope arrived at home. It was from Jeff Thompson, my husband's name. Opening the envelope, I was baffled to find it stuffed with dozens of divorce papers, 33 to be exact. Moreover, 15 of them had photos of Jeff and Tracy enjoying themselves pasted on them. And on another 17, messages like, "Divorce quickly, I put plenty in so you can't mess it up." And, "For our child, get rid of the old lady," were scrawled as if struck by a blow. There were also notes like, "Your house belongs to me and our child now." How does that even make sense? Fury bubbled up inside me at the outrageous contents. And they had the audacity to send this during their trip? Not even giving us a chance to talk, just sending this stuff, trying to force a divorce? Nice guts. Be prepared. Something snapped inside me. Not sure if Jeff knew about the mass mailing, but since he had signed them, I could file for divorce, right? I immediately went to the lawyer's office and submitted the divorce papers. Later, possibly after returning from the trip, my now ex-husband called. "Hey. What the hell is this?" He was panicking as soon as he picked up the phone. I could guess why he was so flustered, but I deliberately asked, "Is something wrong?" "Something wrong?" I come back from a trip, and when I finally go home, there's a demolition crew at our house. What the hell is going on? Explain this to me. In fact, on the day I filed the divorce papers, I had a mind to teach Jeff and Tracy a lesson. I remembered Tracy claiming the house. "That woman said she'd take our house, huh?" Thinking it would serve them right and be the most effective revenge, I said, "Mother, I need to talk to you." And had been discussing my husband's misconduct with my in-laws. Despite our strained relationship, I had always gotten along well with my in-laws and thought they might help. When I explained the situation to my in-laws, they were furious and told me to send all of Jeff's belongings to their house. The in-laws were absolutely livid, to think he would get his mistress pregnant. He should really be taught a painful lesson. They promised to help with anything. I immediately shipped my ex-husband's belongings to his parents' house. Now, it would be up to the in-laws to handle things. I also moved all my belongings and finalized the procedures to demolish the house and clear the site. By the time my ex-husband returned, the demolition had already begun. In just another week, it will all be cleared up, it seems. What? I heard from Tracy that she was getting the house. So I had it demolished to prevent that from happening. It's impossible to think of you, that woman, and her child living there happily together. Don't mess around. How can you just do that? That house and the land it's on belong to my father. You, an outsider, can't just decide to do something like that. Yes, I know that. That's why I discussed it with your father. He said that a foolish son who cheats and gets someone pregnant doesn't deserve a house. He told me to tear it down. You told my parents. Yes, I told them everything. That you had an affair and that she is pregnant. They were quite angry, you know. What have you done? I was supposed to start living with Tracy and the child next week. I don't know about that. Oh, and since we are already divorced, don't call me again. If you need something, contact me through a lawyer. When did we get divorced? I didn't hear anything about that. And what's this about a lawyer? What? A huge stack of divorce papers arrived from Tracy. I filed them immediately. And thanks to all the evidence photos of the affair that Tracy included with the divorce papers, the divorce proceedings went smoothly. Tell her thanks for me. She did what? What is she doing? Please, we're going to have a child, and now we've lost our home. And Tracy only has a part-time job, we really don't have any money. Don't ask for compensation, please. I've already told you, I don't know about that. I'll be seeking a generous amount of compensation from you and Tracy. Just so you're prepared.
Bye.
Then, I said this and hung up without waiting for a reply. By now, my ex-husband must be wearing a miserable expression. It's a pity I couldn't see his face directly. But this should make him painfully aware of how terrible his actions were. Despite his repeated calls, I ignored them all. Later, my ex-husband was ordered to pay $25,000 in compensation. I doubted he could easily afford such a large amount from his savings. But I made sure through my lawyer that he would pay no matter what. He would probably turn to his parents for help, but since they said, "We have no intention of helping a son who cheated," he likely wouldn't receive any support from them. He got what he deserved. As for Tracy, because she sent those provocative divorce papers and photos and engaged in adultery knowing Jeff was married, I managed to get $10,000 in damages from her. I thought they would start afresh, Jeff, Tracy, and the unborn child. But it didn't work out between them. Because Tracy posted photos on social media of their vacation while still technically married to Jeff. Their affair quickly became public knowledge. The gossip spread, eventually reaching Jeff's workplace, causing a huge scandal. Jeff was furious that she posted on social media despite his warnings. But when he scolded her, Tracy lost her temper in turn. In the end, their petty quarrel led to their breakup. What a foolish story, I thought, but how they lived their lives was no longer my concern. I continued working as a nurse. Though divorced and single, somehow, I felt more at peace than when I was married. Work is busy and challenging, but every time a patient thanks me, I feel fulfilled and glad to be doing this job. After everything was settled, I contacted Claire, who had been so supportive. I got divorced. It's all over. You did well, she said, crying. Having such a kind friend who would cry for me made me feel truly fortunate. Claire and I promised to go on a girls' trip together. I might be wary of love for a while, but someday, I hope to meet a kind man who will cherish me.